you us the ball, Washington. Do you know what these guys are playing for in the next 72 hours? Don't let them lie to you. Either we save the key piece of this defense, or the NFC East breaks our face. I warn you, without the 9-time Pro Bowler, this team collapses faster than a trump in court. The solution? A monster of 315 pounds taken from the Big Ten gym, and a draft secret that even Adam Peters didn't see coming. Do you want to see how a Georgia edge rusher can take down Jalen Hurts? Of course you do. But that's not all. If you don't keep your finger on the like and subscribe with that bell, you'll miss out on the master plan that turns the Commanders into kings of the East. Come on, the clock is ticking and the offers won't wait. Commanders could lose their defensive star. What are they thinking? Listen to me carefully. I'm telling you that the Washington Commanders are on the verge of making a colossal mistake. Bobby Wagner, one of the best linebackers in the entire NFL, could be walking out the door in this free agency. And you know what? This news has me furious, completely outraged. Look me in the eyes when I say this. Wagner is not just any linebacker. We're talking about a 9-time Pro Bowler and 6-time All-Pro. 6 times. How many players can boast such? I'll resume? Very few. I tell you, very few. Last season, this man was instrumental in transforming a defense that was the worst in the entire league in 2023. Did you hear me? The worst. And Wagner comes in, and suddenly they're a respectable unit. Coincidence? I think not. Want stats? I'll give you stats. 132 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, 2 fumble recoveries, and 1 forced fumble. But wait, there's more. This man played 99% of the defensive snaps. 99% at 34 years old. Are we seeing this? Because I see a playmaking machine. Now I ask you, how is it possible that the Commanders are even considering letting him go? PFF rated him as the 3rd best linebacker in the entire league. The 3rd. And there are people saying he's too old. Too old? Please, don't make me laugh. Age is just a number when you produce like Bobby Wagner. And I'll tell you something else. If the Commanders let him go, there will be a line of teams waiting to sign him. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Eagles, Cowboys, or even the Giants trying to steal him from Washington. Can you imagine? Seeing Wagner twice a year destroying the Commanders' offense. That would be a nightmare for the fans and a disaster. For the franchise, I'll share something personal. I've seen linebackers come and go for decades in this league. I've seen talent. I've seen stars, but players like Wagner appear once in a generation. They are the kind of player that not only elevates their position, but elevates the entire defense. Firmly believe that if the Commanders want to remain relevant, if they want to continue building on what they achieved last season, they have to retain Wagner. It's not negotiable. It's not optional. It's imperative. And you know what else bothers me? That we're talking about a leader. A man who has seen everything in this league, who knows what it takes to win, who understands the mentality needed to succeed. How much is that worth in a locker room? It's incalculable. If I were in the Commanders' front office, I'd be running with a contract in hand to Wagner's house. I wouldn't be waiting. I wouldn't be contemplating. I'd be acting. Because good teams don't let elite players go. And Wagner is exactly that, elite. And let me conclude with this. If the Commanders lose Wagner and don't find an immediate and quality replacement, they can kiss their aspirations for next season goodbye. What they built will crumble faster than a house of cards in the middle of a hurricane. Now I ask you, loyal Commanders fans, how much would you be willing to pay to keep Wagner? Do you think the front office is making a mistake by not securing his return immediately? Commanders aim to bolster their defensive line with a beast from the Big Ten. Are you ready for this? Let me tell you what's going on with our Washington Commanders. Ryan Wilson of CBS Sports just dropped his latest mock draft, and ladies. And gentlemen, he has projected Derek Harmon from Oregon to the Commanders with the 29th pick. And I ask you, is this what we really need? Absolutely yes. The defensive line has been a persistent problem for this team, and I've been shouting it from the rooftops all season. Look, this Harmon is not just any prospect. When I tell you this, guy has what I call country strength, that natural, raw strength that you don't just get in the gym. I'm serious. When you see this guy do a bull rush against an interior offensive lineman, pushing him into the quarterback's lap, and then throwing him out of the club like trash, that's what gets my attention. Want to know why I'm so excited? I'll tell you. Exactly why. 40 pressures this season. 40! And against Boise State, do you know how many pressures he recorded? 8 in one game. Are you kidding me? 8. Now, I acknowledge his limitations. He doesn't have an extensive array of moves to pressure the quarterback. But you know what? He doesn't need them. His brute strength, low center of gravity, and that devastating bull rush are more than enough to wreak havoc. Some question his technique against the run when he plays too high. I tell you this, when he's focused, when he's in his element, this guy is a game destroyer, an absolute destroyer. 5 quarterback sacks for the Oregon Ducks, who remained undefeated until they faced Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. And you think that's not impressive? Think again. Now I ask you, is Harmon the answer to all our defensive problems? No, of course not. A single player is never the complete solution. But is he a step in the right direction? Absolutely. Washington needs to establish a strong defensive identity, needs to inspire fear in their opponents again. Do you remember those days? I do, when teams trembled at the prospect of facing our defensive line. Those days can return. And I'll tell you something else. This pick would send a clear message to the entire NFC East. We'd be saying, we're here to compete. We're not the same old Commanders. Imagine Harmon on our defensive line. Imagine his ability to collapse the pocket from the interior. Imagine rival quarterbacks feeling that constant pressure, making hurried decisions, throwing interceptions. It would change our defense. And what about our linebackers? Don't you think they'd be jumping for joy with a monster like Harmon absorbing blocks and freeing them up to make plays? I think so. Listen, I know the draft is unpredictable. I know there are other talented prospects who could be available at the 29th pick. But when I look at Derek Harmon, I see a player who fits perfectly with what the Commanders need right now. Some will say, but we could use that pick for the offense. I tell you, wake up. Games are won in the trenches, and our defensive line needs that boost out. Will Harmon be available at the 29th pick? That's the big question. If other teams have seen what I've seen, he could be selected much earlier. But if he's there, it would be crazy not to take him. To conclude, let me be absolutely clear. Derek Harmon is not just a good option for the Commanders. He's the right option. A player with his combination of strength, technique, and production could transform our defensive line immediately. And what do you think, Commanders fans? Do you think Derek Harmon is the missing piece? Or should we focus our efforts on another position? The Commanders could add a beast to their defense in the 2025 draft. Let me tell you something right now. The Washington Commanders were one game away from reaching the Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback. One game. Do you understand what that means? Jaden Daniels, in his first season, took this franchise to the brink of glory. And now what do? Now we have to seize this moment, this momentum. And what does the latest mock draft from A to Z Sports tell us? That the Commanders could select Michael Williams, edge rusher from Georgia, with the 29th pick. Listen to me. We are talking about an elite athlete for Dan Quinn's defense. I tell you this, when Dan Quinn sees Williams' profile, he must be smiling from ear to ear. Why? Because this guy has the physique, he has the wingspan, he has everything Quinn looks for in a quarterback hunter. But let's be honest here. Is he really what the Commanders need right now? Williams did not participate in the NFL Combine test, but his measurements impressed the teams. And many in the league expect him to break all records at Georgia's Pro Day. But you know what? Combined numbers are nice, they are interesting, but I ask you, what has he done on the field? Williams' college production is not what many would expect from a first-round pick. But, and listen to me here, he improved every season. The mock draft report compares him to Travon Walker in playing style and build, although he doesn't have the same explosiveness. What he does have is the ability to use his wingspan very well while being a great run defender. I believe the Commanders cannot afford to waste this pick. They are in a competitive window right now, with Jaden Daniels under his rookie contract. They have a golden opportunity to build a championship team. And you know what a championship team needs? Pressure on the quarterback. But let's be realistic for a moment. If they draft Williams, is he ready to start from day one? I tell you this, they need to bring in a veteran too. They can't just throw this kid to the wolves. He needs development. He needs mentoring. And what if Williams is not available at the 29th pick? What if another team jumps ahead and selects him first? Do the Commanders have a plan B? These are the questions that define a franchise. Dan Quinn is a master at developing defensive talent. We saw it in Dallas. We saw it in Seattle. The man knows how to build a dominant defense. But even Quinn needs the right pieces. And now I ask you this. Do you prefer the Commanders to invest this pick in the offensive line to protect Daniels? Or is it more urgent to strengthen this defense that already showed flashes of greatness last season? What is clear is that Adam Peters and the new regime in Washington understand the urgency of the moment. They have no time to waste. The NFC East is there for the taking. The Eagles are vulnerable. The Cowboys are in free fall. The Giants are. Well, they are the Giants. I believe this could be one of those moves that define an era in Washington. Williams has the potential to be a game changer, an elite quarterback hunter who can terrorize Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, and Daniel Jones. Twice a year for a decade. Let me be perfectly clear. If Michael Williams is available at the 29th pick, the Commanders will be fools not to seriously consider him. This is the kind of talent that usually doesn't fall this far in the draft. And with Dan Quinn leading the defense, they could turn him into a star. But here is my final argument, and I want you to listen carefully. The success of the Commanders in 2025 will not depend solely on this draft. It will depend on how they complement Daniels, how they strengthen that offensive line, how they add depth to the defense. A single pick will not solve all their problems. And now I leave you with this question. Commanders fans, would you prefer the team to bet on a high-potential edge rusher like Williams? Or do you think they should address another position of need like cornerback or offensive line? The future of our Commanders is at stake. Commanders! We have analyzed the latest team news, and now I need you to make yourselves heard. Bobby Wagner is on the edge, but his stay hangs by a thread. How much would it be worth to you to secure a linebacker of his caliber? Do you think the management would be making a historic mistake by not doing everything possible to keep him in Washington? The defensive line also needs reinforcements, and Derek Harmon could be that key piece we are looking for. But I want to know your opinion. Is Harmon really the player who would transform our defense, or should we focus our resources on strengthening another more urgent position? And when we talk about the draft, Williams continues to appear as a potential star edge rusher. Should we bet everything on his talent, or do you think cornerback and offensive line are positions that deserve more immediate attention for the team's success in 2025? This is your channel, your community, your Commanders family. Leave your answers in the comments. Share this analysis with other fans who need to stay informed. And don't forget to subscribe to receive the latest news and analysis of the team. We all love. Activate the bell so you don't miss any video. And remember, hail to the Redskins!